Time for Health Diary. My name is Gladys Gachanja and we're coming to you from the Emory Hotel here in Nairobi. Now, when I ask you about dementia, what is the first thing that comes to mind? It's an old man's disease, right? Well, you're wrong. Why? Because more and more younger people are being diagnosed with this condition, and also it's not a normal part of aging. We talk more about dementia right after this fact of the matter. Dementia is a syndrome in which there is deterioration in memory, thinking, behavior, and the ability to perform everyday activities. Worldwide, around 50 million people have dementia, and there are nearly 10 million new cases every year. Alzheimer's disease is the most common form of dementia and may contribute 60 to 70% of cases. Dementia has a physical, psychological, social, and economic impact not only on people with dementia but also on their careers, families, and society at large. Although dementia mainly affects older people, it is not a normal part of aging.
Okay, my husband started kind of forgetting in 2006. That is when I started seeing some changes in his behavior. You know, he would forget something which is so just open. He would forget that he's holding his keys. He would forget what he was going to do. He would forget his appointments, you know, and such. In that it was 2006. When we went to the psychiatrist, they diagnosed him with memory loss. So he put us on medication actually for two and a half years. Then I was told, you know, it doesn't get better. It took me 5 years to accept that my husband is sick. He was violent, you know, at a stage whereby he doesn't want you to tell him anything. He was getting lost. He would just go for a walk and get lost completely. Yes, stigma is there a lot. There's so much stigma in dementia because, for one, people do not understand what it is. Today is not like, you know, 5 years back. We have talked, we have, you know, reached out, we have sent information out. People, not all of them, but some people, quite a number of people know what dementia is, how to handle it, and how you can advise another person who is going through the same. And actually, that's why we talk. I would even urge the government actually to know how many people are out there who are suffering. How can these people be helped? Because right now, my husband got sick. He left his job. I left my job.
So let's take time to demystify dementia. And to help us do that, we have Harriet Mudhoni, who is a caregiver to a mother who is living with Alzheimer's. And of course, we have Dr. Mudhoni Gishu, who is a gerontologist and geriatrics doctor. And I think, Doctor, you'll start us off by telling us what exactly it is that you do.
I take care of older persons. And when you look at the definition of an older person, this is somebody who's 60 and above. So for you, you're not my client for now.
Okay, thankfully so. So even as we're talking about older people, we've talked about it being a progressive degenerative brain syndrome. So what exactly causes the degeneration?
The brain is like a network of a circuit, an electric circuit. So what happens is when the cells in the brain die, which could be due to various reasons, you find that the number of the brain cells reduce, and the death itself of the cells causes the brain to get smaller, but also depends on the part of the brain where this is happening.
Okay, so you say various factors, like what?
We have age, but it does not mean that dementia is part of normal aging. It is not. Ideally, it is not. But age is a risk factor for dementia. We have genetic factors, and then we have family history, and we have other factors like lifestyle, you know, sleep, exercise, diet. Yeah.
Harriet, your journey has been long, 11 years of a mother who's been living with Alzheimer's. What was her first diagnosis?
2009 actually, and before then she used to do weird things, like she will forget her keys, or when she's driving, she drives the opposite side. So we never used to understand until now, to 9, when the doctors said what she's suffering from. We didn't even know anything like those dementia or Alzheimer's. We didn't know about it.
And she is how old now?
She's 87.
So she got it in her 70s.
Yes.
Now, Dr. you would say she probably was in the bracket where you expect dementia to, for somebody to suffer from dementia.
I will say yes, because again, dementia is something that we normally see from the age of 65. But again, remember I said dementia is not part of normal aging. Yes. However, we have early onset dementia. You will find a 48-year-old who's having to deal with dementia. And just to paint a picture of what dementia can be, imagine yourself not knowing who you are, not knowing where you are, and not knowing what time it is. It begins somewhere. The only thing is that sometimes by the time we realize it, there are very many confounding factors. We are people with traditions or culture. And you'll find that a good number of people with dementia, it actually comes as a result of, for example, this is a couple that is above their 60s. Probably the hubby passes on or one of the partners passes on. This grieving or the loss actually triggers an early dementia that was there. That's just one of it. But again, going back to the cultural people we are, what do we say? It happened because they were mistreating there. So until we demystify these things that we talk about, we have a journey. But
And
it's a good place to be.
And that's why we're having this conversation today. She takes us to that part of her life when this happened. What was the first? You said you were confused as a family, but what was the first thinking? Is she sick?
Yeah, there was a lot of confusion first. You're not very sure what it is in the first place. She was staying with my sister in Nigeria. So they were all confused. They started going, seeing different doctors, and the doctors were like giving her medicine. You're told it's this, it's that. Until now, one time we decided that we are not going to see any doctor, because the medicine that we were giving her, they were making her even worse, like more confused and all that. So we decided that no more medication we are not going to see any doctors. We just like deal with her, just the dieting and all that.
Let me ask you and be very honest about this. At some point, did you ever think that she was mentally ill?
Yes, yes, yeah, that we did.
And I ask that question because most people actually confuse dementia and mental illness. Daktari, are they one and the same thing?
Things that happen in the brain, we relate them to mental illness. So again, depending on the classification of mental illness that we use, it has earlier on been classified under mental illness. But again, even under the mental illnesses, we have different conditions, right? So, and then with the way it presents, it would be actually the quickest diagnosis would be for very many other mental illnesses. With the change in behavior, the change in forgetfulness. And not unless we have, because again, they will not tell you they're unwell. More often than not, it's the family members who report a change in behavior, the way somebody does things. And you can imagine your mom not remembering you. It's probably the most difficult thing to deal with. You're wondering, really? How? As in of all other people. But again, until now we do the diagnosis and are able to actually get to the point and say this is dementia.
So Alzheimer's is one that is very common. We even have a month set out for it, September. Why is Alzheimer's more common than other forms of dementia?
We don't really have a direct answer as to why this is more common than others. But again, through diagnoses and trying to find out what is more common, this is what has been found in majority of the people. Let's say about 60% of people with dementia will have Alzheimer's. Yeah.
Okay, Harriet, over 10 years of having a mother living with Alzheimer's, it hasn't been easy, right?
It has not been easy. But I think I'll talk more of 6 years that I've been with her throughout, day in, day out. Yeah, because she stayed with my sister in Nigeria for those years. Then it became very hard for them to stay with her there. Reason being, the language communication. It's also the English that she used to know, it's disappeared completely. So she's talking in her language, and most of people who are there, they speak in English. So it became very difficult. So that's when they decided to bring her home. And when they brought her home, there was no any other person that would have taken care of her apart from me. So for me personally, this is my 7th year with her. It has not been easy. Reason being, this is the person who used to know you. They cannot even tell your name. You ask, do you know my name? She says, she just looks at you. And you can tell that she's feeling, you cannot really understand how they are feeling, but you can tell she's not comfortable, especially when you ask her, do you know my name? So that's one, it's a bit difficult, knowing that this is a person that you've grown seeing, and she was very active in life. She has always been there for you, and right now she cannot even know your name. Like any of us, she doesn't know any of our names. Yeah, so it has not been easy.
Takes a toll on the caregiver, and when we come back, Harriet will be telling us about her experience, and also something else Dr. will tell us why we're seeing more and more younger people getting dementia right after the break.
Snakebite injuries are very common in Africa, and despite this, access to antivenom is still very low.
When it comes to directing, I never really decided like, hey, I want to be a director one day. What actually happened was I was getting a bit tired with the work that I was doing because it all looked quite repetitive.
Palm oil is the lifeblood of cooking in Nigeria. The country is a leading producer of same, but imports a huge amount of the product every year. Let's find out why.
Welcome to Turkana University College. Turkana University is a center of research, innovation, and technological development. Apply now for our January, May, and September intakes. Turkana University, the cradle of knowledge.
Do you like a challenge? Are you an innovator? The EcoSafi Innovation Awards is calling for innovations that provide sanitation solutions for domestic and industrial waste. These solutions should be centered around storage and on-site treatment, conveyance or transport of waste, off-site treatment, and safe end use or disposal. To participate in the EcoSafi Innovation Awards, register through our online submission platform on the Ministry of Water and Sanitation website. EcoSafi, sanitation for all.
Who wants to answer? Mary?
Mary has a toothache.
Oh, I see. And who knows why?
Because the tooth is too big.
No, it might be a hole in her tooth called a cavity.
That's why I brush twice a day using Colgate. Imagine this is your tooth and these are food acids that cause cavities. Colgate with calcium and fluoride helps prevent cavities
for maximum cavity protection.
And now available in a 12-gram sachet for fresh breath. Only 15 shillings.
Anything crazy without your friends? Drink Fanta. Taste fun.
Mama, how can I be a champion runner?
Well, you've got to be like a geisha bar. Staying strong and going so far.
Be strong and last long.
Like geisha.
This is NTV.
Hujambo mtazamaji popote unapoitazama NTV. Hivi ni vipasho kwenye NTV jioni hii.
Vurugu ilianza na tukasimamisha watu yetu.
Don't fool the people of Murang'a, don't fool the people of Kiharu, and do not fool the people of Kenya. Come here peacefully.
Zahma kanisani Murang'a kufuatia mzozo wa tangatanga na kieleweke. Uhaba wa wauguzi wa ugonjwa wa saratani ni changamoto kubwa katika sekta ya afya.
Awakening 9. All employees of the International Hospital, we are not working.
Huenda shughuli katika hospitali ya KNH zikalemazwa kutokana na mgomo wa wafanyikazi unaotarajiwa hapo kesho. Na leo tunaangazia sherehe za kuvukarika katika jamii ya Ilchamos. Na mtazamaji, ni baadhi tu ya taarifa ambazo tumekuandalia. Mengi na mengine katika NTV jioni hii. Utajiunga nami Doreen Majala ifikapo saa 1 kamili.
Snakebite injuries are very common in Africa, and despite this, access to antivenom is still very low.
When it comes to directing, I never really decided like, hey, I want to be a director one day. What actually happened was I was getting a bit tired with the work that I was doing because it all looked quite repetitive.
Palm oil is the lifeblood of cooking in Nigeria. The country is a leading producer of same, but imports a huge amount of the product every year. Let's find out why.
Welcome to Turkana University College. Turkana University is a center of research, innovation, and technological development. Apply now for our January, May, and September intakes. Turkana University, the cradle of knowledge.
NTV continues to bring you great entertainment, news, and sports shows. Stay tuned to NTV. For free-to-air set-top boxes and digital TVs, please ensure your aerial is pointed for optimum picture. Then, rescan your set-top box to refresh the channels. When search is complete, scroll until you find your favorite channel under the name NTV or ADN NTV. Choose channel 91 on GoTV, 271 on DSTV, 106 on StarTimes, 13 on Zuku, and we're also on Signet. NTV, turning on your world.
Welcome back. Our conversation, dementia. So far, we know that it is not a normal part of aging. We have Dr. Modoni with us, and of course, Harriet giving us her experience in taking care of her mother who's been living with Alzheimer's for over 10 years now. And Dr. Harry, I think at this point, it is imperative we understand why are we seeing more and more younger people being diagnosed with dementia?
Dementia is a non-communicable disease, and as we are currently seeing, majority of non-communicable diseases, we're actually getting them in younger people. Maybe it has something to do with the kind of lifestyles we are adopting, maybe. But again, I will say more research needs to be done so we're able to understand why. But again, remember, when you talk about the common factors that expose or predispose one to dementia, we have age. Like I said, it's a normal part of aging. And then we have hereditary factors and family history.
And Harriet, when you think back at when you diagnosed your mother with dementia, was there anything that had happened that was drastic in her life?
She lost her husband when she was very young, first of all. And then she lost 2 children in a very short time. She really never shared what was going on in her mind for a longest time, because when I was growing up, I never saw her having so many friends, which I think sometimes it helps when you talk about an issue that is going on with you. So I think maybe those are some of the things that contributed to, I'm not sure, but I'm just saying it could be.
Okay,
yes.
And she raises a very valid point. Now, if you're seeing the numbers being seen in younger and younger people nowadays, and it's the same generation where the cases of mental illness is also on the rise, stress-related conditions also, maybe there's a correlation, Dr. right?
There could be, and I keep saying research is fun because you keep discovering things. But generally when it comes to mental health, as in we keep saying don't keep quiet about it, speak to somebody about it. And whoever said that a problem shared is a problem half solved was not wrong.
Who suffer from dementia most, male or females?
Again, we do not have a proper diagnosis as such, but again you will find that women live longer than men. Not to say that the men are not there, they're there, yes, but we do not have very good statistics. So, still work to be done.
Harriet, when your mother was diagnosed, considering how many years have passed, was the degeneration gradual?
The more she's getting older, the more she's deteriorating. In 2014, she could take care of herself. She used to bathe herself and she used to feed herself well. At least she used to know some of us. But right now, she can't even go to the bathroom alone. Somebody has to take her there. She has to be cleaned from, in the bathroom, washroom. Somebody has to be there throughout. Okay, she can still feed herself, but she will forget that she's eating. And somebody has to be with that so that when she forgets that she's eating, you start feeding her.
Does early diagnosis and maybe early treatment kind of slow down the degeneration?
There's a possibility, yes. And other than slowing down, you see, knowing what you're dealing with actually allows an opportunity for interventions. One. Secondly, it helps grow the support structure, because again, you're able to prepare the individual, if they can comprehend, of which they can early enough, the support system they have, mostly the family and the caregivers. So it means that if we're able to diagnose earlier, it means the prognosis may not change as much, but there will be a better quality of life for everybody around this individual. And when you look at the stages of dementia, it begins from, when we make jokes, I have forgotten my car keys, or I don't know where I put my watch, It begins from there to a point where you cannot dress yourself. You get? So by the time we transition all that time, there are things that can be done, even if we're not going to reverse or reactivate the dead brain cells, there's a possibility of actually growing newer cells.
Okay, Harriet, let's talk about treatment. What was she put on? Medication, oral pills, injections, what?
Okay, medication. But that time, honestly speaking, she was staying with my sister, so I'm not very sure what kind of medicine that she was taking. The only thing I know, when she came here, she used to have sleeping pills to help her sleep, because she never used to sleep. And personally, I decided that I'm not going to be giving her the sleeping pills, because every time we give her the sleeping pills, thinking that she's going to sleep, it's become chaotic in the house. She'll start fighting. She becomes very violent. So I felt that the medicine maybe was reacting in a different way. Interestingly, she sleeps nowadays. She doesn't take any medicine any pills for sleeping.
So how much of a diet would help than the medication in this case?
Looking at diet and physical activity, they're probably one of the things that we need to explore more to improve the quality of life. So some of the things that we don't explore, it's actually important to look at what we give them. Because again, what people take, some way, somehow affects mood, it affects behavior. physical activities are the thing that we do not talk about. Because once people are physically active, it has been shown to improve cognition. It has been shown to give better sleep. It has been shown to, basically physical activity improves a lot of, it's actually one drug I would say has 50 plus benefits and no side effects.
Okay, we're talking about the patient. Let's talk about the caregiver. I think no one stops to think about the people taking care of those with dementia.
It was quite difficult for me, but by the grace of God, I've never been into school to go and learn about Alzheimer and dementia and caregiving and all that. So I get people that they come like house helps, but I am the one to train them how to take care of mom. I found myself in this group, the Alzheimer and Dementia Kenya. So it has really helped me because when we go there, we share out our whatever we are going through, and it really helps.
So what can we do as policymakers make sure that this information is taken to the grassroots and the healthcare providers there help provide the kind of support needed?
Think about it. We're all humans at one point. As a caregiver, as a physician, as a carer, we're all, and as a patient maybe, we're all human beings. So the moment we talk about awareness creation, it's a beginning point for all of us. Because once we have, it may not be uniform information, but it will be quality information that will actually help us take the next actions. As in, as a carer, what do I need to do? As a neighbor of a person living with dementia, what do I need to do? Do I need to point fingers? Do I need to stigmatize? Do I need to understand? Do I need to make the situation or life situation better? Because again, there's a way we can make it worse.
So what can we do to empower these people living with dementia?
It is not only the people with dementia. It is the people with dementia and the people around them. Because again, remember, it has a lot of mental toil on the carers. So we have to look at quality of life for all of them. Right from the person living with dementia, to the carer, to the friends, to the family, to the community.
And how best to do that?
Make life normal for them. Don't change things because you feel you want it this way. You know, at that time now, you let them, allow them to dictate a bit. Because when they're comfortable, everything is calm.
Now, Harriet, they say every 3 seconds, a person gets dementia. With that startling statistics, what would you like society to know about this condition and those people living with it?
People need to be educated about it because dementia started a long time ago. It's only that we didn't know about it. Like when you go to the village, you find those socials and they're just there. When you say hi to them, they're just looking at you or they can't remember you. I focus back here and somebody will just tell you that this is just an old age that is. But seriously speaking, I think it's not just the old age. So people need to be more educated about, even in the village. So I think the government need to come up with something that will help those who are in the village.
So going forward, dementia is not curable, but it is preventable.
Yes, and as you go for your annual check, kindly talk nicely to your annual check provider and ask them to have a cognitive test done. Sometimes it helps us catch this early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, well said. Dr. Muthoni Gishu, gerontologist and geriatrics doctor, and of course Harriet Muthoni, who has been a caregiver to her mother living with Alzheimer's. Ladies, thank you for joining me. And as you've heard, it is not a normal thing when it comes to the old people. Something is wrong, but if you pay attention, you understand how best to support them. Time now for the health tip.
Reflexology is a zone therapy where you work on the palms, the feet, the face, and the ears. So the benefits are it helps in distribution of energy throughout the body. It helps with anxiety, helps in improving sleeping patterns, especially for the insomnia patients, increased circulation, and it helps reducing pain.
A lot of your questions and comments coming through on our social media handles. Keep them coming through. My name is Gladys Gachanja, and this has been Health Diary coming to you from the Emory Hotel here in Nairobi. Until next time, see you. Thank you. But she has baby brain right now. She's for hiyo ni hormonal. When you hear of dementia, yeah. Wacha kuni confuse you.